I'm Claire Thomas, and I'm a filmmaker and creative.
I'm Yayo Ahumada, and I'm a cinematographer.
And this is our renovation story. Yayo and I have been dear friends for
At least 15 years?
at least 15 years. It's been 15 years running of just like friendship and making cool things together.
Been a lot of fun.
We call this house Oeste. Oeste in Spanish means west. And for us, it just really evoked the imagery and mythology we wanted the house to kind of bring about when people visit here.
I was born and raised in Mexico. And even before we bought the house, Claire and I were getting to go to Mexico a lot for both work and for fun. And in one of those trips, I just kind of casually said, like, I would love to do like a Instagram house or something really creative and beautiful like the other properties that you've done.
I had just finished a project in Big Bear. My mom lives in Palm Springs. Between those 2 points is Yucca Valley. It's about 2.5 hours away from Los Angeles. It's a really eclectic mix of people. It's a lot of artists, but also a lot of people that enjoy having privacy and just having land. You get incredible like desert mountain views everywhere you go. We just had a vision of like the land matters as much as the house. And I was like, have you thought of Yucca Valley, sir? It just seemed like a cool place to explore. Yayo and I always talk kind of in a story. So that's kind of how we approached each room in the house. How do we want people to feel when they walk into it? And then what's the story behind it? Which is really this love letter to like Yayo's heritage and life in Mexico and kind of all over Central America.
This is like such a testament to me and where I'm from. Every time I walk in, I feel like I just flew to Mexico. And I flew to my favorite places in Mexico. And it saves me that trip.
This is the living room. I love that this is the first room everybody sees. It's kind of that classic California, like open concept. So it just keeps the whole space feeling very light and airy. What it looked like before was very, very different. Dark wood, dark paint color, heavy window treatments, a lot of drywall soffits that didn't really serve a purpose other than to just like bring everything down, and was so stuffed with furniture that I think both of us were like, how little furniture can we get away with? And so this built-in really allows us to kind of create seating, but without it feeling like it's overtaking the space. So instead we have this like floating coffee table and these 2 really lean chairs. We also ran out of money, so then we had to like find objects. Each one of these rocks is like 200 pounds.
Yeah,
insane.
the big one's really heavy.
And then you had to get a rock cutter.
Yeah, there's
like a rock saw.
like handheld, like a 30-inch blade that you like use to cut the rocks with. And then once they're cut, it's like, well, still can't move them.
But you know what? We have the most beautiful coffee table that was not quite free because you had to rent the saw.
Right.
But other than that,
pretty darn close
pretty
to free.
close to free. Otherwise,
Yep.
it's just, you know, the rocks. I remember watching you with that being like, if he loses a hand, this is just going to be the worst day of my life. But you didn't. And we now have a stunning coffee table out of that. We started in a really kind of traditional way where we had like a contractor, a budget, a timeline, and then 2020 happened and the wheels kind of fell off and COVID happened. And then that's when Yayo and like the group of friends came together to get it across that finish line.
And the landing?
Hell yeah!
Woo!
Nice!
That was not handy whatsoever. And between the internet and time, which is something we all had during COVID, I learned how to do a lot.
We actually developed something called Yucca Bucks. Friends could come and for like a day's labor, you basically get like a day's stay. You can stay at our house at a later date if you come and just like lay tile down or like paint a room or whatever. So friends are still cashing in Yucca Bucks.
Yeah.
All right, Emily's making the tile dining room table. It's both of our first time tiling anything.
So the actual like renovation took like, honestly, almost a year.
Yeah, it took a year and it was supposed to take 3 months. What's really nice though is that now I get to spend time here and there's so many stories. So there's such a nice connection to the home now.
Now we all get to enjoy it together. All right, well, let's check out the kitchen and the dining room. The kitchen and the dining room both are inspired by a specific place, which is our favorite place to stay in Oaxaca. There's this house that we love, and it has this gorgeous kitchen. And so that's what this kitchen became. We did concrete boxes, like basically your surrounds, and then inside of that are like your typical like cabinet boxes with the custom slabs on the front. It was really important to both of us because like Yayo and I love cooking, so we wanted it to be functional. So it's a very functional kitchen that looks like our favorite one in Oaxaca.
Here in the kitchen is another great example of just removing. It was just like stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff.
We noticed that there was this big soffit of drywall. So we just removed it, and it completely opened it up and made it a whole new space. And it also allowed for this to become one big space instead of these sort of like 3 mini spaces like trapped in a big space.
And it was just about removing it, and it made such a big difference.
I remember the subcontractors were cranky because they thought it looked unfinished and rough.
We were like, wait, don't do anything more. Leave them as they are.
We wanted it to be kind of this really big, open, classic California kitchen. And honestly, just removing so much of the cabinetry and doing open shelves instead. It sounds like a very simple thing, but it made a huge impact and a really big difference. Going into the dining room, I love this color so much. It really matches the clay tones that you see in a lot of Oaxacan artisanal goods and pottery, which you can see we have a bunch up here.
This is literally something that people buy to make tortillas with.
Which Yayo turned into a light fixture. And then to create this bar, this was something that was like on the week that we had a bunch of friends out to help out, which was really fun.
This was definitely all us.
Same with these benches. This was
Yeah.
like our first attempt at furniture making.
No, this is very high-low because this is like Indonesian hardwood that's imported and blah, blah.
Gorgeous.
And then we didn't have a budget, so this is exactly like $30 of like Home Depot 2x4s.
It worked out. One of the other things that you'll find all over Mexico is copper. And so there's a lot of copper elements that we have throughout this space. We have a copper sink as well as the copper faucet as well. So much of the house is about mirroring what we see outside, inside. So the color palettes in each room, you'll definitely see a lot of like the natural colors that you see around the desert and in the mountains. We bring them inside as well as, enjoy them from the outside. Throughout the house, the flooring was really inconsistent. And so we just were like, you know what, let's just get rid of all the floors and polish the concrete.
So simple, and it makes it so durable. Everything's like warm and organic and just such a wonderful thing to look at every day.
I love how this space turned out. From the dining room, we have these beautiful sliding doors that open up onto the patio. The patio is almost like an extension of the house and like its own room in a way. It has a really specific look and identity. We wanted the back patio to evoke Marrakesh. Marrakesh plus the sunsets out here are so beautiful. And so it's this beautiful sunset pink that also matches the sunset that you get on the mountainside when sunset hits here. With the exterior, there was so many question marks. My favorite was when the painter opened the paint bucket and was like, they sent you the wrong order. And I was like, well, what is it? Like, what color? And he's like, it's like a salmon pink. I was like, yes, no, that's the color for the exterior of the house. And he's like, that can't be right. The tile's an interesting story because, I basically was like, hey, what do you have like on site that I can just use? They said, well, we got boxes of tile, like random tile. And it ended up being this wonderful just source of inspiration where this patchwork quilt tile became honestly sort of like one of the things people know the house for. It's also a great use of excess tile. And so I just love how that turned out. By that point, that's when Yayo took over and he became like a master tile layer. This house is sort of a testament to how much paint and tile can do. It's honestly like paint, tile, and like vibes. It really does a lot.
There are 2,696 pieces of tile in this house.
Did you actually count that?
Yeah.
It's a very special space and a fun way of us getting to feel really connected to just how beautiful this land is and how lucky we are to get to spend time here. Though we have this like very open concept for the living room, dining room, kitchen, the rest of the house really does have rooms for specific purposes. This is the front room. It's just a lovely space where you can have a cup of tea, listen to music, read a book.
This is the morning room. I wake up, make the tea, come in here. My goal has been to try to read every one of these books whenever I'm here.
I feel like you probably got pretty far so.
I'm halfway there. But also at night, I can have like literally a listening room. without being on my phone, without being on my laptop. It's incredible. Like, this place forces you to be present.
All right, so let's head to the first bedroom. This is the agave room. This whole room is sort of a celebration of that. It has this really beautiful blue agave coloration to it. And then the mural is my attempt at art. Rabbits and agaves are two things that there's quite a few of here at Oeste. I love a theme, and so I find that if you really lean into a theme, it just can do so much for a space. And for this one, it's our love of mezcal. And it's very different from how it was before, which was basically just like a white box.
It was just sort of like a meh room, and now it's so much more fun. So now we're gonna take you to the pink room. This is a fun one.
Same thing as before, this room was just a white box. All the bedrooms in the house were, and so now we turned it into kind of inspired by Luis Barragan. Luis Barragan is a very famous architect, and he's renowned for many things, but one of them is a very distinctive color of pink. And so in Mexico, Luis Barragan pink is like a very iconic color.
These are Sonoran Fariseo masks. I remember growing up, these guys would come down the street wearing these masks. They was always tied around like festivities.
I love having them on the wall. And then I think one of the other things people really remark on is the bougainvillea in the room. It looks really beautiful, and I love kind of the cloud effect. Really fun, inventive styling. It just goes such a long way.
It's also a great nap room.
It is a good nap room, yeah. Onto the guest bathroom. This is another room that sort of evokes Morocco more specifically. It's sort of a Moroccan-inspired archway. Mm-hmm. It really makes the space feel so much grander and bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
The blue tones are so beautiful and rich. I just love that for this room.
Yeah.
And then obviously the tile is a huge like impact moment. Also, who doesn't love a solid gold bathtub? I remember turning to him and being like, so how do you feel about like a solid gold bathtub?
That's all I've ever wanted.
That's all I've ever wanted. And I'm like, perfect. It goes back to that idea that you can actually get huge amounts of impact just by being thoughtful with what you're switching out.
You have to go all the way. Like, this room would not work if the tub was just like a normal tub.
It just makes a huge difference. This is more of a message to people who are maybe like trying to do things DIY or doing things like with like very little budget, or like, oh, if we get a group of friends together, let's figure it out. It's going to be really stressful and it's going to be really exhausting. But as long as you have really amazing people with you who keep the energy going and who you trust, you're going to get to the other side of it and it's going to be great.
It was rough.
It was crazy.
Yeah. All right, so this is the game room.
This is such a fun room. It's a game room, it's the TV room, and then it's also sort of like that flex, like air mattress room. And what's really cool about this room, we have a hidden projection system.
I love that there's no TV anywhere in the living room or in any of the rooms. The room gets to be a room and we get to have art, but if you want to watch a movie, it's a movie theater. 1 minute you don't have a TV, the next minute you're watching a 100-inch TV. It's the best.
And we have a lot of old movie posters and travel posters, and it's just such a fun energy in here.
I'm obsessed, I love it.
And this is the primary bedroom. The inspiration for the color palette in here is San Miguel de Allende. Every house there is painted in these like sunset colors. And here too, you get the most gorgeous sunset tones at the house and like the color of the sand. So there's a lot of really beautiful golden tones. I love this paint color because it sort of echoes and mirrors that back. It's just the kind of the perfect yellow. It just feels like you're inside golden hour.
It's just gorgeous.
And then with this amazing built-in, we just had this idea of, okay, we want to do this really epic built-in that we can put all of the wonderful things that we've gotten from our travels to Mexico in. And then also this idea of doing a round window. And it's been just everyone's got to get a round window shot when they visit here. It's very fun.
Yeah, I definitely have a photo of that.
Oh yeah, all of us do. And then it goes right into a very, very generous primary bathroom. In this room, it's sort of a similar story as a lot of the other spaces in the house. We just changed a lot of the looks and fixtures and finishes. We just swapped them out for something that felt a little more modern, a little sleeker. It all of a sudden takes on like a completely different attitude.
Yeah.
And then we have this incredible terrazzo. You see it used as a material all over Mexico. We use terrazzo throughout the house. It just is very durable, but also very beautiful. In here, it was really important that the tile continued out to outside of the house. So it just has an unbroken eye line. And I think that's like, to me, probably my favorite moment in here. I love that it just spills out outside.
Yeah, that's also my favorite.
And I love the copper thing too, because I just feel like we've been very careful about like so many of the elements that we put in the house evoke very specifically, not only where you're from, but like where your family is from.
This house feels like that to me, where I'm like, oh, I get to have a little piece of Mexico for me here. It was such a big lesson, or such a great lesson on like taking a big swing. Like, I don't think this house would work if we had toned it down. Like, what sells it is the fact that it's over the top. It's a fantasy. It's like an ode to Mexico.
It also really shows that like you can get a huge impact by just making choices that are honestly like just thoughtful. And I learned so much from it. I feel like both of us came out like completely different people after this house. But yeah, whew, it was a journey.
Yeah.